Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome back to our YouTube channel once again. And it is my hope and prayer that this video is actually going to find you guys in good health. Personally, I am fine, as you can see. Kisumu is also fantastic. And maybe you could also let me know where you are watching the video from. The county or the country in case you are out of the republic. Ladies and gentlemen, Raila Odinga yesterday made the big announcement that he's not going to retire from politics anytime from now. And that announcement by Raila Odinga, in my view, is significant politically speaking for several reasons. Number one, it's going to have serious implication on Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, because Kalonzo Musyoka is banking on Raila Odinga's support. Is Raila Odinga going to stay in politics but support Kalonzo, or is he going to stay in politics as a presidential candidate? Number two, it's also going to complicate the equation for William Ruto. Of course, I know William Ruto is always praying to have Raila Odinga as a presidential candidate so that he can use the name Raila Odinga to rally the mountain. But the implication again on that is that Kalonzo Musyoka might decide to run, and the fact that Kenya Kwanza has failed, maybe Kenyans might rush that side. But in this particular video, I want to focus on two main things. Why Raila Odinga is not retiring. And number two, what next? What are his options? Before we do that, now listen in to Raila Odinga making that announcement before we proceed.
Bondo, doka bikwai, doka biduari, angek mabondo nti. Podo ka dog bondo sani. Podo na dog bondo. Kabiru sani, come on. Shimwe do na biru bondo, doka biru daka, tabira biru daka daka. Tonga toke mawach tani muda dog dala. Oh, come on. Kurungeni kumawach bur. Mima kede mateka hinya mudokel katiba manyia. Katiba manyia ji manganya okne duare. Nyoro en higin prario nyaka negi nego de Mumbai. De Mumbai no negi ke wach mar katiba ni. Sane niti loso madhi yime. Tiyo ni maketo kucha. Hotel negi Kalonzo to giwandai. Kuro mangino tweya. Okaya loso manganya hinya sane. Otuya, amiyokino ko Kalonzo hinya kikubeki makboro. Ado wande mondo amegi thuolo mondo gilosi, mondo gitieki. Kagisi tieko ni kodhi maber to kare kare. Kamano, to karach to.
Now that's Raila Odinga making the announcement that he's not going to retire from politics. Now let me ask you this simple question and be honest. In your own opinion, should Raila Odinga run as a presidential candidate in 2027, or should he support someone in Azimio? Let me read your answer below. Now let us try and understand why Raila Odinga is actually not retiring from politics. Before we do that, in case you're watching this channel for the first time, please take a second or two, click that subscribe button so that next time we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. And to the subscribers, I want to continue thanking you guys for your continued support, because without that support, this channel cannot be where it is. And without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to dive in. And by the way, for this particular video, don't forget to press that thumbs up button. And for those who can, also drop your comment. It goes a long way in supporting the channel. Ladies and gentlemen, why do you think Raila Odinga is not willing to retire from active politics? Because we all know that William Ruto has always advocated for Raila Odinga's retirement from politics.
Mambo ya hawa watu hakuna ama namna gani? Ile kazi moja tu nimebaki naye ni kutembeza huyu mtu mpaka Bondo aende akae nyumbani. Ndio? Ama namna gani? Si tutamtembeza? na atafika nyumbani bila kujua.
Kenya Kwanza have been calling on Raila Odinga to retire, but Raila Odinga is saying he's not going to retire. Why do you think Raila Odinga is not willing to retire? Number one, in my view, is political influence. Let's face it. Assuming Raila Odinga were to announce today that he's calling it a day, that is retiring from politics, do you think Raila Odinga will have influence the next day? Do you think he will still command the kind of respect he's commanding? Let's just be honest. So because of power, political influence and power, Raila Odinga will not exit the political scene. Where exiting means getting out of politics, because it's not a must that he become a presidential candidate. He can say, I'm not a presidential candidate, but I'm in politics. Let's take the case, for example, Uhuru. Uhuru is no longer in politics, but he's not retired, which means he can still participate in politics if he wants. That influence, the political influence, is what is forcing Raila Odinga in politics, because if he were to exit, that influence is going to reduce. Even if it's by 10%, 20%, that influence is actually going to reduce, because there are people who would say, for us, we are in ODM because of Raila, or for us, we voted for Azimio because of Raila. If Raila is not there, there's no need. There are regions, for example, Western Kenya, you can't be sure that if Raila Odinga were to announce his exit from Azimio, then he can still persuade them to vote for someone else. So Raila Odinga is going to be there just for the political influence. Number two is ODM Party. In this country, parties are very powerful. Parties make their leaders respected. A good case is Martha Karua. Martha Karua is a principal, but he doesn't have a party. She doesn't have a party. If you compare Martha Karua to Kalonzo, Kalonzo's party has members of parliament, has governors, has senators. So within the political scene, if you look at it critically, Kalonzo would command more respect than Karua, who was Raila Odinga's running mate, because we would have expected Martha Karua as a running mate to at least win 1 or 2 seats, even if not any other place, but even in Gishugu. That did not happen. For Raila Odinga, ODM is key. And majority of people in ODM party are actually in ODM because of Raila Odinga. If Raila Odinga were to announce retirement from politics, you can't be sure that ODM will remain as it is today. That it will still win a seat, it will still have control of Mombasa, it will still have control of Kilifi, Kisii. That assurance is not there. So Raila Odinga would rather be there as the leader, so that those who follow ODM because of Raila would still vote for the candidate. So I tend to think that if ODM as a party had, let's say, a credible alternative, then Raila Odinga would say maybe consider. But I don't think, because of that. Again, if you look at it, there are individuals within ODM party who are taking advantage and would only survive if Raila Odinga were in politics. Those people would not allow Raila Odinga to resign. Some even his family members. So the truth is, because of ODM party, Raila would rather be in politics, campaign for ODM candidates, ODM candidate win seat, then ODM as a political party remain relevant. Number 3, in my view, I think why Raila Odinga is not retiring is because of the 2027 options. Raila Odinga has a few options. He can run for the presidency. He can be prime minister if the bipartisan talks are going to suggest that. And that's why if you listen to his statement, he was very clear that he's still giving the talks the chance. And if the talks will not go the way they want, then maybe something else. Raila Odinga can still be the leader of the opposition, where, let's say, they go for election, He remains the ODM party leader. ODM is defeated, for example, Azimio is defeated, but ODM has the majority MPs. He can't have that. Of course, he can decide to be running mate. He has so many options. And I think Raila Odinga is still weighing those options. And that's why he's not retiring. If, for example, he were to say, I'm running as a president, that's an option. He can support Kalonzo. But let me explain that in my second part, which is what next. Number 4, in my view, is Luo Nyanza politics. You see, William Ruto is committing one of the biggest mistakes, which I think he could have avoided, trying to dethrone Raila Odinga from Luo Nyanza. It's not possible. Raila Odinga is not going to allow that. And for him to do that, it simply means that he must be in politics. These are people who have voted for Raila Odinga, have stood with him from 1997. They view Raila Odinga as a savior. Today, if you ask anybody in Nyanza the development records of Raila Odinga, they will count for you. Actually, they'll attribute almost all roads in Nyanza to Raila Odinga. They'll attribute the ports in Nyanza to Raila Odinga. They'll attribute almost everything to Raila Odinga. Luos believe that were it not for Raila Odinga, Luo region would have been treated the way of Eastern. And most of these roads, major infrastructural developments have always happened when Raila Odinga is in government. That's why in the last second term of Jubilee government in Mount Kenya, we people like William Ruto, Rigathi Gachagua, and Ndindi Nyoro would always go there and tell those people that all their development projects were stopped because Uhuru Kenyatta took them to Nyanza. So you can't remove that development from the heads of the people of Nyanza. And of course, those who are opposed to Raila Odinga are those who have no clear. You can't pinpoint anybody in Nyanza who is opposed to Raila Odinga who can pinpoint what he has done for the Luos. So Raila Odinga is figuring out, because there's this discussion of Luo Nyanza politics. Should he exit now or should he wait? Maybe he's still weighing options that, as far as he's concerned, right now, nobody has emerged clearly, and maybe it still has to be there. And lastly is the electoral justice. Because if Raila Odinga is claiming that his victory has always been stolen, how can he prove that he's always on the right side? Become a presidential candidate and win. And if that cannot happen, then he can torture somebody and that person can actually go ahead and win. Which brings us to the next option. What next for Raila Odinga? He's not retiring. What can he do? Number one, he can run for the presidency. Is Raila Odinga's presidency, 2022 presidency, viable? I might not know. Number two, he can support Azimio presidential candidate. And for me, if you were to give me a choice within Azimio, I'd go with Kalonzo Musyoka. I think Kalonzo Musyoka has proved that it's better. And if politics is a game of numbers, Kalonzo will come with this Kamba votes. If Raila were to support him, at least compared to Martha Karua cannot now tell Kenyans that he has the support of the Kikuyu nation if she were to be the presidential candidate. I'm saying this because those who voted for Azimio, if you ask me, majority of them voted for Azimio because of Uhuru Kenyatta. Raila Odinga would have still received those votes, even minus Martha Karua. And of course, Raila Odinga can decide to focus on ODM as a political party, win as many seats as possible, win governors as possible. Then even after 2027, ODM will still be there. But the other option, which most of you are not talking about, is that there's a possibility of Raila Odinga endorsing William Ruto second term. If that were to happen, then it means people like Rigathi Gachagua will have to leave. Can't rule out. I don't know what you think. That's my take. Thank you, and may you have a good day. Bye-bye.